Dungeons & Dragons is a game where we can play out our fantasies. So why the can't I play a mermaid? Today, we are gonna fix that. Welcome to Kraken Week, the first community event of its kind. My friend Pointy Hat and I created Kraken Week to bring together tabletop gaming creators over a shared theme. All this week, you'll see your favorite creators putting up videos inspired by the ocean. And when I think of the ocean, I think of mermaids. I am something of a mermaid nut. I played mermaids at the pool when I was a kid, and I basically never stopped. I want to be a mermaid so bad, I've spent hundreds of dollars on not one, but 2 mermaid tails that I can actually swim in. I wrote an entire album of songs about mermaids drowning people. So when I started playing D&D and realized that merfolk are not a playable race, I was a little salty. But Ginny, you're probably saying, there are tons of cool aquatic races. Those are close enough to mermaids, right? Wrong. You know what sea elves have? Legs. Tritons? Legs. Water genasi? Legs. And before you bring up Lokatha thinking you're funny, they have legs too. As you can see, the mermaid tail is important to me. And I get it, most D&D campaigns take place almost entirely on land. Being stuck with a mermaid tail would make it really difficult to adventure. But are you telling me that not a single D&D game designer has ever seen Splash, or Aquamarine, or H2O Just Add Water? Nar? So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna homebrew an entire merfolk race, complete with subraces, so we can live out all the different kinds of mermaid dreams that are swimming around in our brains. But Ginny, you're probably saying, there are a lot of homebrew merfolk races out there already. How is this one gonna be different? First of all, stop interrupting me. Second, I've got a secret weapon, an expert on mermaids who has graciously agreed to consult.
I do this. I get to eat the neighbor.
For legal reasons, I can neither confirm nor deny that I have agreed to let you eat my neighbor with a loud motorcycle in exchange for consultation.
Yes, precisely. I will slit his throat.
Okay, let's move on. There are merfolk in D&D, but they're not a playable race, and their lore specifically says that landfolk almost never encounter them, so they occupy a place of myth. Now, I'm not saying this lore is inherently bad. I'm just saying I don't like it. If merfolk live in shallow water in oceans all over the world, why make them into some sort of mystery? People in the worlds of D&D know about dragons, they know about unicorns, so why are mermaids relegated to cryptid status? Personally, I think it's so much cooler if merfolk kingdoms get to be unique and varied like any other intelligent civilization. So maybe some merfolk communities are reclusive and hidden, but others would have good relationships with their neighbors, even neighbors on land. I mean, does that sound right to you?
I would rather take a harpoon to the chest than be forced to socialize with surface dwellers. But yes, there are merfolk with bad taste.
Great. This is pretty helpful, I think, if you're gonna make the race playable. It broadens the types of stories players can tell with their merfolk characters, so everyone they meet doesn't react as if they've just come face to face with Bigfoot. That's as much lore as I'm gonna give them. I trust that game masters can come up with their own histories and cultures for the merfolk in their games. And if our fantasy worlds are anything like Earth, where oceans make up more than 70% of the world, merfolk would probably have an even wider variety of cultures than humans do. So it feels silly to paint them all with the same brush. I'm more interested in the mechanics, because that's the kind of thing that I wouldn't have felt comfortable inventing myself as a beginner DM. To kick off my brainstorming, I collected all my mermaid materials and made a list of everything associated with mermaids across folklore and fiction. I'm gonna be real with you, I threw out most of the stuff on this list. I am not particularly inspired by common mermaid traits like having long hair and brushing it a lot, or mermaids don't have a soul unless a mortal falls in love with them, which feels like it would really be forcing a specific kind of story on a player. And as much as I am aesthetically drawn to all the creative ways that we can bring mermaids out of the water, like Victorian-style mermaid tanks and mermaids in bathtubs, the fact is that most D&D games take place on land. And if a player character can't easily travel over land, that's gonna be a huge pain in the ass for everyone at the table. I'm pretty sure I pulled a muscle getting Undertow down here, and I have no idea how I'm gonna get her back up.
This is because you are weak.
Anyway, that's why my top priority for merfolk abilities is some form of transformation. I want them to be able to have a fishtail in the water but have legs and walk around on land. And this is a super common part of the mermaid myth already, from Daryl Hannah in Splash all the way back to the French tale of Melusine in the late 1300s. Undertow, do you know any transforming merfolk?
You're looking at one.
What? You let me wheel you down 2 flights of stairs in a wheelbarrow and you could have just walked?
Human legs are disgusting. I refuse to wear them.
Okay, you can get yourself back upstairs after this. Unfortunately, most mermaid transformations in fiction and folklore are inconvenient, to say the least. Some have to return to the water regularly, or only have human legs during the day, or experience constant pain, or transform involuntarily when water touches them. While these can be interesting things to explore in fiction, I also want this race to be fun to play. So it was important to me that players not be punished for using their human form. Instead of forcing merfolk PCs to the water to avoid consequences, why not reward them with a little bonus? Merfolk can switch between their legs and tail with a bonus action. Easy peasy. I'm calling this ability Sea Legs. And if they're away from the water for days or weeks or months, there's no downside. I mean, I don't know, maybe they have dry skin. Who doesn't? But if they spend at least 4 hours submerged in water, be that a river or the ocean or a fountain in the town square, they get a little bonus, plus 10 feet to their swim speed until the next long rest. I'm calling it Aquatic Affinity. They're reconnecting with the water. Here's why I love this. Not having the bonus doesn't hurt you, but because there's a little reward attached to it, it gives players a good excuse to bring their merfolk nature into their roleplay. You're trying to make camp? Oh, it would be best for me if we camped by the river because I'm gonna spend the night there. Staying at an inn? Yeah, I'm sleeping in the bathtub. This means that even if you're stuck in human form long term, you still get to roleplay a merfolk. That's a part of your character that matters. Also, there's one other thing that popped up in both mermaid folklore and Selkie folklore that I loved and wanted to incorporate into this race, and that is their breath.
Is it bad?
Nice try, I'm not getting that close to your mouth. I'm talking about how some merfolk can share their magic breath and allow other creatures to also breathe underwater. In my version of this ability, a merfolk can cast water breathing for free once a day, and anyone they cast water breathing on gains a swim speed equal to their walking speed. Now, before you freak out, yes, this is a super powerful feature. Water breathing is a 3rd level spell and it lasts for 24 hours, so I'm basically saying that the merfolk's entire party can breathe underwater all the time forever. And giving the entire party a swim speed removes a pretty big movement disadvantage that non-aquatic races normally have. And if you hate all of this, you can absolutely scrap it. Just use the race without that feature. But let me at least explain why I am knowingly putting an extremely overpowered ability into this race. How many sessions have you spent underwater in D&D? If you're anything like me, you can probably count them on your hands. This is because not only is underwater movement and spellcasting and combat really difficult for your average player character, making it inadvisable, the rules around underwater stuff in D&D are super sparse, which makes it very tough on DMs. I don't know about you, but if I were playing a merfolk in a D&D campaign, I would really want us to spend some time in the water. That's where my character's special abilities would really shine. But if being underwater is extremely difficult for the rest of the party, that's gonna reduce the likelihood that you spend time there during sessions. Yes, water breathing is a pretty big spell. And yes, a swim speed is a pretty rare feature. On paper, giving those things to an entire party is kind of insane. But really, what's the downside? It doesn't make the party overpowered in the water, it just makes them as powerful as they'd be on land. Plus, it opens up a whole new environment for the DM to create encounters in. I added this feature because I want people who play merfolk to get to play underwater, and this felt like the easiest way to make that more likely to happen. So that's more or less the merfolk race, but I know better than anyone that there are lots of different types of mermaids that people love. Some people want to play the Little Mermaid, and some people want to play a humanoid anglerfish. It's me, I want to play that. The first subrace is your typical fish-tailed mermaid. I'm calling them the coastal merfolk because they live in waters shallow enough to be lit by sunlight close to land, and they're the sort of merfolk that you'd encounter sunning themselves on a rock or interacting with fishermen. Because this is a traditional merfolk, I'm centering their abilities on the classic, beguiling siren's voice. But don't worry, these merfolk don't have to sing if you're not into that. Their voice of the siren ability works with speech or song, and it gives them advantage on charisma checks under certain circumstances. This subrace is geared towards social abilities, so it would be a great pick for a charisma-based, face-of-the-party type character, like a bard or a warlock. If you want to play Ariel, this is your subrace, but it could just as easily be used for a darker, more dangerous merfolk who uses their magical charm in more manipulative ways. I mean, you're a coastal merfolk, right, Undertow?
Technically, we share a species, but I wouldn't be caught dead associating with those sun-addled idiots.
Oh, I get it. They're like the preps, and you're like the goth mermaid. Do they not invite you to parties?
I wouldn't go even if they did. But they don't invite me, no.
Speaking of goth mermaids, even though coastal mermaids can be spooky, I really wanted one subrace to be intrinsically spooky, which is where the deepwater merfolk comes in. These are Ursula style, a cephalopod mermaid with a bunch of tentacles. That's right, monster fuckers, this one's for you. One of the things I found so boring in the canon D&D merfolk lore is that they just don't go into the ocean's depths at all. Missed opportunity, honestly. The deep sea is terrifying, and that makes it so ripe for use in a game like D&D. There's a ton of mermaid mythos around sailors asking mermaids to grant them safe passage and calm weather, or of mermaids who call up storms to sink ships. So deepwater merfolk are innate spellcasters, with control over the water and the weather. And of course, I had to give them some kind of special tentacle power. Nope, don't write about that in the comments, don't do that. Anyway, they can cast spells with somatic components even if they don't have use of their hands, because they can do magic with their tentacles. God, it keeps getting worse. I'm just gonna move on. I think those two subraces cover most of the ground in terms of why I love mermaids. But part of why I personally have connected so much to mermaids is that they're a very satisfying female power fantasy. I mean, who doesn't want to be both hot and deadly, right? But I can't help but wonder if we're missing a big question here. Will men like this? How can we make Mermaid for men? Yeah, I'm drawing a blank right now. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I guess I need a male perspective from an actual man?
Hi.
Close enough.
So the thing about making a fantasy race is that you want it to be as appealing as possible to as many people as possible without losing the core of what makes it special, right? So if Ginny has already covered the traditional mermaid and the Ursula variant, what else is there to do? How about something that targets a more masculine interest? I know what boys want. Hear me out, furries.
No.
I said hear me out.
Absolutely not.
You said you wanted the male perspective.
Ugh, fine. Furries how?
I know merfolk are traditionally associated with like sexy ladies that sing pretty songs and tear your flesh from your bones and feast on your bloated waterlogged carcass. You know, just girly things. But here's the thing. Merfolk aren't a real thing. You can make merfolk be whatever. So what if for those people that don't want the traditional merfolk look, or the tentacle option, we go with something more Zora-esque, more animal-like, more furry adjacent? I'm thinking less half fish, half person, and more beastly. If coastal merfolk embody the alluring sort of merfolk and live close to the shore, and deep merfolk embody the eldritch sort of merfolk and live in the open ocean, I propose tidal merfolk. They are the connection between the world of the surface and under the sea. They're fully amphibious. They don't go through any transformation, they just look like that 24/7. Those freaks. Or coastal merfolk function like their own kingdom, trading with the surface world. Tidal merfolk function as part of both surface and underwater kingdoms, and are often ambassadors because, like the tides, they go in and out of the sea. But they're also the first line of defense if the surface world gets some creative ideas, like...
What's that word again?
War. For the game design part, I'm thinking about gearing them more to be physical combatants, but I hate when a race pushes you to only be a hit thing with sword real hard guy. So let's make natural weapons be especially good in reactions, so that even if you're playing a nerdy wizard tidal merfolk, you can still chomp on your enemies if they decide to hit you in combat. I mean, that's what I would do.
I don't know. Are you sure that's what boys like?
Actually, I have included a tidal merfolk character in the free adventure I'm releasing on my channel for Kraken Week. Look! He wears very little clothing.
Yeah, this is good. This is fine. We'll do this. Can I keep this?
Alright, put me back in the closet. I have my own Kraken Week video to get back to. You should clean this more often. It's like really dusty here. Hey, are you there? Hello?
There we go! 1 merfolk race, 3 subraces to make sure there's something for everyone. And if this sounds like something that you're into, you can download all the details for free at the link in the description. Happy Kraken Week! Make sure to keep the celebration going by checking out the Kraken Week playlist linked in the cards and the description. This is where you'll find all kinds of ocean-themed videos from creators big and small. This is a fantastic way to discover new creators to follow, because there are some really incredible people participating in this event who deserve more views than they're getting.
Time for dinner.
Alright, let me get my shoes.